Hey, what's going on everyone? So this is a quick vlog video because I want to talk about something that happened with me yesterday. And yesterday I was putting together my mining rig, and I don't often talk about mining and mining rigs on this channel because this is mostly a gaming channel. But obviously with games you need graphics cards, and I had a couple of spare graphics cards, so I wanted to put them into a mining rig, and this was going to be my second one. So I've already done one before and know how to do them. But yesterday something crazy happened which freaked me out. So I wanted to talk about that, and I guess I just wanted to share my experiences with you guys, and hopefully we can all learn from this. Alright, let's talk about the components in my mining rig so you get a better understanding of what I'm trying to build. And I've got a BioStar TB85 motherboard, and this is an LGA 1150 Intel Haswell CPU motherboard. We'll get back into the CPU in just a second, but this was really the only option that I had. So on online retailers, everything else was sold out. This was the only one available, and it was kind of cheap at the time. It was like $150, and actually normally it's about $75. So even that, it's increased in price. But I just want to say, yeah, I don't think price should be the main reason why you get something in mining, because mining you have to run 24/7, so you don't want cheap unreliable stuff. You want good quality reliable equipment that don't bust on you in 6 months or 12 months. So when it comes to price, you can always earn that back. Okay, so the CPU, I got an Intel G3250 Haswell CPU. This I just got it secondhand because you can't really get those parts anymore. This cost me about $15. So that's also another reason why I chose this motherboard, because, well, I didn't really have a choice. The motherboard chose the CPU, and this was all I could get. So the next thing I got was an 8 gigabytes of DDR3 PU skill RAM. With the Haswell motherboards, you have to get DDR3. I also got an ADATA SSD, which was 120 gigabytes. I'm using an AMD RX 6700 XT for the graphics card. I got a bunch of PCIe risers. And for the power supply, I got a Corsair RM1000X power supply. Now, obviously, you don't want to get anything too cheap for the power supply for mining, because you want something that's going to last you a long time. So make sure you get something that's really good quality, has a good brand. And Corsair, I use those for my desktop PCs, and also in the office where I build PCs for, I also use those for the office PCs there as well, because it just lasts a long time. It doesn't give me any trouble. Alright, let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. And I had my mining rig built, and I turned it on, and everything was going fine. The graphics card fan was spinning fine, the CPU fan was fine, but that was really just for the first 5 to 10 seconds. So after that, I heard this buzzing sound like a zzz, and then something flew up into the air, I don't know what, and there was a burnt smell in the air. So I quickly turned off the system because that kind of freaked me out. So I turned it off at the power point and also at the power supply. Then I started to check my system to see what was wrong. And the first thing that I was concerned about was the graphics card, because the graphics card, the 6700 XT, it cost me $1,100. So obviously, and the rest of the rig was about maybe $400. And I looked through the graphics card to make sure there was nothing wrong. And actually, I found a capacitor that flew off, which landed on the motherboard. So I knew that this capacitor flew off from somewhere, and I was worried that it came from the graphics card. Well, it didn't look like it was from the motherboard, didn't look like it was from the power supply. In the end, I found out it was from this PCIe riser, and you can see all of this black stuff around this capacitor, which obviously means maybe the circuitry was bad, or the capacitor was bad, the solder was bad. So this was basically a faulty PCIe riser. Yeah, that was pretty scary. Now, I found out with the PCIe risers that I actually had 2 versions of them. And so this came in 2 batches. So the first batch that I actually got for my previous rig, I got version 7s, which is the one at the bottom. And then for my new rig, they actually sent version 006C. And so this was the previous version. So maybe there's something in that this was an older version that maybe they have more faults with. I'm not sure. But I wasn't really paying attention when I actually went to buy them. I thought they were all more or less the same. But obviously you should get the latest risers whenever possible, because they'll probably have the most up-to-date fixes for these things. So they're up to version 9 at the moment, so make sure you get version 9 risers. So this is a very old riser that they sold me. I'm going to return all of them, and the retailer has been kind enough to take them all back. So I think everything is okay there. Now I thought I would just test out all of the components just to see what was wrong with the system. So I turned that system on and it worked okay the first time. The CPU fan was spinning, but it got caught in the CPU system fan cable. So I turned off the system again and I tied that down with some sticky tape. And then when I went to turn it on again, it stopped working. So then I realized maybe something is wrong, either with the motherboard or the power supply. Something else has gone wrong here. And so I went to test with a second power supply and it didn't work. And I tried with 2 different power switches and they didn't work. Then I went to take those power supplies, both the 1000 watt and the 850 watt, and tried them with my other mining rig and they were working. So it wasn't the power supply that was a problem. So that really leaves the motherboard, I guess the CPU and the RAM. And so it really looks like to me, if we're talking about power, then there's something wrong with the motherboard here. And so I'm going to go and return this TB85 motherboard back to the retailer, and I've already contacted with them, but they haven't said that they want to take it back yet. So I guess we're kind of still negotiating on that. So the lesson learned here is that this BioStar TB85 motherboard is an Intel Haswell motherboard from 2014, and that's a long time ago. So I think a lot of things have changed since then, and even back then GPU mining was probably in its infancy. It's still like 3 or 4 years away from when Bitcoin had its boom in 2018. So back then maybe mining wasn't such a big thing, Ethereum wasn't such a big thing back then, and so these motherboards, maybe it was more niche, they had limited runs, so they probably had maybe cheaper components inside them because they had to make profit of them. So if it's in a smaller run, it's probably tighter to get margins. And the other thing, of course, is that this was a $75 motherboard, and how much quality can you expect from a $75 motherboard anyway? Alright, so just to wrap things up, I've got some lessons learned here, and the first one is don't be too overconfident when you're going to build your mining rig. Always do your research. Number 2 is to read up on your cabling, so make sure you get all of your cabling right, because it's really important that you've got the right amount of power going through each cable, and if you don't, then you can get a lot of problems. And number 3 is to get good quality components and just pay more for them, because the downtime that you have, you'll probably end up costing you more anyway. Alright, that's going to be it for this one. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, also to subscribe to our channel. And I usually make gaming videos, not mining videos, but if you like gaming videos, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.